This is Norberto Gaona, Editorial Director for Nearshore Americas and FutureSource Group. And I'm glad to have here today Guillermo Gonzalez. He's the Executive Director of Mexico IT. Hi, welcome.
Right. Hi, thanks.
And he, as the leader of Mexico IT, has a lot of knowledge about promoting Mexico in the foreign markets and to promote the country as a main provider of IT and BPO services, and that's a very, very good effort from you. And what is the strategy you are following to tell the world that Mexico is a good place to come to invest and come to work, and we have a stable economy?
Great. Well, let me start off first by explaining a bit what is Mexico IT. Mexico IT is a joint effort between the Mexican federal government and the Mexican IT industry, represented by the National Chamber of IT Technologies. This effort has been going for the last 8 years. We work very closely between the federal government and Mexico IT through the representation of the chamber. And also we work hand in hand with specific state governments in order to promote our country. How do we do this? We try to participate mostly in specialized forums that are organized mostly by analyst firms and specialized media like Nearshore Americas in this case. And what we do is always try to present a unified front where the answers can be very open to any kind of questions, and they can come from both government representatives, both in the federal and the state level, as well as industry experts, and as well as testimonies from company representatives that have been doing business in Mexico. Usually the way we do this is an open forum. We present the virtues of the Mexican market, the level of specialization we have in certain areas. As I mentioned, the testimonies of companies doing business in Mexico, and the offer from Mexican companies in IT service providing.
And what is the answer from those companies that you present the potential market, Mexico as a potential market? What they say to you?
Usually the questions that are addressed by the people attending these seminars or these events have to do with the level of quality of the human talent in Mexico, the human resources, the ease of doing business in Mexico, setting up corporations, the ramp-up process of a startup with regards to a new development being done in Mexico. Could be a BPO, could be a specific solution for a certain company, could be a call center. There's a lot of questions that are addressed towards the different regions in Mexico. Mexico's a very large country, and the perception from the U.S. consumer or the U.S. companies trying to do business in Mexico tends to be very varied regarding the different areas where they might set up operations. Most of them come with a very educated idea of what are the main cities to do business in, usually Mexico City, Guadalajara, Monterrey, but there's also the concern that these places might be a bit saturated with regards to access to human talent, and there's definitely other areas where they can do business. They're starting to hear about new and exciting places like Aguascalientes and the whole Bajío region, Baja California in the northern part of Mexico. Chihuahua's been doing very well also, in Yucatan. Yucatan is a thriving opportunity for IT solutions, and specifically for BPOs and call centers. The whole peninsula of Yucatan and the region of Cancun and the Riviera Maya is also very attractive for U.S. companies.
And also, Mexico can be seen as the entrance from other companies to settle here and provide services for the US and Latin America. What are the drivers, but also what are the main obstacles for this?
Okay, absolutely. That's a correct perception. What are the drivers? And we have to go back probably 60 years in time to the first operations that started between Mexican and US companies. And the reason I mention Mexican and US companies, it's because there was a natural ecosystem that started with the electronic industry trying to set up operations in Mexico. As of that example, Mexico has been creating a very specific vocation for manufacturing services, and that has led to other opportunities like the IT service exports. In the last 60 years, a lot of things have happened. We became part of the GATT, that led to the OMC, and then we signed the NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement. That timeline came with a lot of opportunities that we believe Mexico capitalized very well. We've had the opportunity to work with major international companies. We've learned to listen to the requirements of the industry, and we invested in human talent mostly, but also in infrastructure, in a legal framework that would ease the establishment of new corporations here in Mexico. That ecosystem nowadays is one of the main drivers for very specific industries like the automotive industry, in which Mexico it's a key player and a very competitive player. We've been also, as of recently, a benchmark in growth for the aerospace industry. There's a lot of new and exciting industries that are trying to set up shop in Mexico based on different issues that I'm not going to go into, but mostly the reshoring of manufacturing from other countries, specifically Asia, due to costs and due to changes in the perception of those countries on how they want to harbor business. Mexico has always been open to trade, has always been open to foreign companies setting shop in our country, not only as a gateway, but because the conditions for a smooth operation, a firm economy, access to the main requirements each one of these companies might have in terms of security, human talent, infrastructure, as I mentioned previously, a legal framework that would allow them to do business in a country uninterrupted, has been what has led Mexico to be welcoming in the setup of new operations. Now, if you take into consideration that we are geographically positioned next to the United States or the North American market, which is the largest market in the world so far, and the fact that we have a free trade agreement signed with the US and Canada, these are excellent incentives for companies to set up shop in Mexico.
Yeah, finally, also the Latin American region has been growing a lot, and also other countries want to take advantage of, to be near the biggest market, as you mentioned, in the world, like North America.
Exactly.
The countries in Central America and South America really want to take advantage of this. But Mexico, I think, has a very good position. What do you think are the advantages for Mexico in this case?
The main advantage I would have to point out, and this is a personal perception, a lot of these countries that you mentioned, Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia, they've been doing an amazing job at trying to harness the opportunities of the North American market. Somehow I think they came into the game years after Mexico started doing this or seeing this opportunity. Mexico, as I mentioned, has had a very, very long-term relationship, basically due to the manufacturing scheme or program that the Maquila created close to 60 years ago, and that gave way to an advantage that has been growing and has been mutually been worked on by both countries for a long, long time. I think these other regions have recently started identifying these opportunities. And the main advantage that I think Mexico has is the number of engineers, or the number of workers with experience, with certification, with a very close understanding of the business culture in the US. And that's probably something that these other countries, I'm not saying they don't have it, they absolutely have it. Some of these countries probably, their educational programs are much more focalized on specific aspects like English as a second language, for example. However, I think they're not perceived by the North American market as their first option because they're, I guess, very recent to the game. And it's the relationship, the long-term relationship, I don't think it's there. There might be a couple of companies that have been doing business with these parts of Central and South America for a couple of years, but they're isolated examples compared to Mexico, where there's a huge amount of companies that have been doing business in this country for a long, long time.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to add?
No, just thank the opportunity for this testimonial.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.